It is very early for a Sunday morning, at least by my standards. And yeah, I've decided to start getting up earlier. And I figured if I'm going to do that, I might as well do it on a Sunday rather than a Monday, because on Monday I actually have to work. So it'll be a bit more difficult to get through the sleep deprivation. Um, this is not the first time I've done this. I do go through like bouts and periods of waking up like at 5:30 a.m. and like doing a workout and that sort of stuff. And I have exactly 19 weeks until my Rome marathon. So I'm kind of using that as a bit of an excuse to get back into the groove of it. Because I've always preferred waking up like super early. I don't know. I just think it works for me. Because I've really messed around with my like scheduling in terms of my wake up time and my sleep time and that sort of stuff. And I found like the early mornings really sort of suit me well. But it's been a while. It's been a while since I've actually done it consistently. And it's also been a while since I've uploaded videos consistently. So yeah, these are 19 weeks, which is a bit premature for it's a bit premature for marathon training. For a lot of training plans only go up to 16 weeks. But I've decided to start it early because last time I kind of left it too late, and I to some extent want to compensate and do even better this time. Yeah, so I'm sort of coupling the two together, trying to be more consistent in every conceivable way, and I've decided to start this today. But yeah, I will I'll go for my run and continue this in a bit, I suppose. That's the thing that people do. They do like this. Okay, hopefully that works out fine. But like I was saying, I have done this before. I've gone through periods where I've woken up early and gone for a run. And I do fundamentally believe there is something magical about getting up really early and just going outside. There's some different kind of energy in the air. It's very subdued, it's very solemn, but it's also quite majestic. There is something about being outside in the quiet when it's still slightly dark and seeing the world light up around you. And whenever I have done this for a prolonged period of time, and I have been working towards something, whatever it was that I was working towards has always gone significantly better than it would have otherwise. Of course, you could argue there was no way for me to know that. But just the periods where I have been quite consistent with it, I always feel better, like in terms of my mental state, in terms of my physical state as well. I think just being able to manage that discipline does wonders. And I don't know why. I don't know what it is about it that works for myself, and perhaps it works for others as well. But it does work quite well. Now, I'm by no means like... I am an early bird by nature. I don't stay up that late. Like, I wake up around 6, 6:15 most days, maybe 6:30. But 5 to like 5:30 a.m. There is a huge like activation energy required for me to be able to begin to get out of bed at that time. It's ridiculous. The difference is ridiculous. I know it's only half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour at most, but the difference in the amount of effort is humongous. And I strongly believe that you need some sort of arc. You need something to motivate you, to get you out of bed. And that's, I guess, why I proposed this whole 19-week period to begin with, because I think it gives me a good amount of time. Marathon training, I want to be more consistent with my videos. I want to be consistent with waking up and just, and just seeing what becomes of it. Because I feel like it is something I can work towards, and it is a timely thing. I think 19 weeks is a reasonable amount of time. It's about 4 months, 5 months, which isn't too bad in the grand scheme of things. So I'm hoping I can manage. But I do understand that it's not for everyone. And at times it hasn't been for me either. That's why that's not my default state of being, right? Because I think people have their own set schedules. Like, people kind of know what time works for them when they go to sleep, when they wake up, and that sort of stuff. And it does, like I said, the activation energy. There is something there where it's just like you have to force yourself. You have to be motivated by some sort of common goal to work towards every single day, else you're going to fail. Ultimately, like, there is no need to be up that early unless you have some reason to get up that early. And there is a cost associated with that, right? It's like you have to discipline yourself to be able to sort of say no to doing things and saying yes to other things. Like, if you have to meal prep for the week, you have to begin to start doing that earlier in the day. You have to perhaps say no to meeting people sometimes because you want to sleep. And it's kind of it's a weird thing to say out loud, but it's true. And I have like been a bit of a flake during social events in the past where I have just left to go to sleep, or I have just not attended at all, knowing it was going to be a late night. And I think people kind of got it. Like, I think once you do it enough times, people understand that it's just like a phase that you're going through. And I feel like having a good community of people around you that sort of understand that this is something you want to do for yourself and something to work towards is always very nice to have. Because people encourage you, right? And it's nice when people sort of hold you accountable to the things that you've told yourself that you're going to do. And yeah, the goals that you've set for yourself. But then again, it is just day one, so perhaps I am having this conversation a bit prematurely, because I've not yet been doing it for any length of time, so I don't know if I'll succeed. I have succeeded in the past, so I'm hoping I'll succeed again. But it has been many years, I think, since I've done it consistently for months at a time, and I'm kind of nervous going into it because there is a lot of sacrifice associated with it, in my opinion, because you spend a lot of time alone, if you know what I mean. It's like for like 4 hours before you start work, you're just alone, and that can be a scary thought sometimes, if I'm being honest. It's not always the most comfortable experience, especially because I try not to listen to music and stuff when I'm like going for a run, and when I'll be marathon training, I'll be doing it for extended distances and that sort of stuff. It's a lot of time in your head, and that can be a very intimidating thing, especially on the cold winter nights, because it is winter here now, almost in London, and well, the sun rises pretty late, to be honest, so you get to see a lot of darkness in your day. And like, I don't mean for it to sound very dramatic, but I think there is a psychological effect associated with that as well, and that's partly what I mean when I say it can be quite troublesome sometimes, even though sometimes the benefits do work out in your favor. It's just one of those things where you have to push through. You sort of have to understand that the end goal will be worth it in the end. And this is something I think I've struggled with for a long time, is that if you know something's beneficial for you in the long term, but you have to make sacrifice in the short term, it's always difficult. Because like, what is wrong with like meeting your friends up till like 10, 11 p.m? Nothing, right? Nothing in a short period of time. Like over the course of a week or 2 weeks, you're not really going to notice. But if you do that every week for like 5-6 months, versus not doing that every week for 5-6 months, and being able to sort of get your sleep in, get your recovery in, and train for something athletic, then you're going to see those benefits compound over time. And I'm not a professional athlete, and I haven't been running for I've been running for a long time, but I've not been doing like marathons for a long time. It's only been like a year and a half since my first one, and it'll be 2 years by the time I do my second one. So that sort of regime is new to me. So I don't really know the effects associated with that, to be honest. But I'm hoping it'll be beneficial, even if there are sacrifices associated with that. And I think that's what a lot of people fail to talk about. Like, I think you can watch a lot of videos about how Tim Cook gets up at 4 a.m. or this guy gets up at 5 a.m. or Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson gets up at like 4:30 or something as well. I googled it because I was curious. Um, um, but yeah, like no one ever sees the stuff that they can't do as a result of that. You see the stuff that they can do as a result of that, but you never really talk about the things that you miss out on. And as a result of that, you have to weigh up the options, right? And I find what works for me are these short stints, these periods of a few months every now and then, where I just hone in, I just focus on whatever it is that I want to do, whatever it is that I want to achieve. And those few months, that becomes a goal and nothing else, right? And then I feel like the sacrifices aren't that bad, because there is an end to it. There is a time where I won't have to keep doing this. And I think that's how I find balance. That's essentially how I find a good way to balance the lifestyle. Because if I were to do it compulsively, first of all, I don't know why I would be getting up at 5 a.m. every day anyway. Like, I think it is helpful, but again, activation energy, I don't have any. like unless I'm training like I am now, or like I want to achieve something like a qualification or something of the sort, right? Then it works. But I'm not always training for something. I'm not always going for like a qualification or something. So it doesn't really make sense for me to be doing it all the time. But I think it works in my favor to be able to do it some of the time, to be able to have periods where I'm honed in, where I'm focused, and I can achieve the things that I want to achieve. And knowing the bits in between is the time where you have a shift in what's important, where you sort of spend time with family or you spend time with friends, and you just have a chill day. You just have a chill life. And I think it's important to be able to do both. There are like the 1% of people that can sort of manage that throughout their entire life or for like years on end, and which is fine, right? Because that's what they want to prioritize. That's what they want to achieve at the end of the day, and that's fine too. But I'm not that guy. And I think there's a lot of things to consider. And it's interesting because I've never really put it down on paper, so to speak, or at least vocalized some of the thoughts that I've had around the whole getting up early. Because a lot of people know, like within my circles, that I like to do this from time to time. I'm a bit of a meme for it, but I think, I think it's fine because I don't do it all the time. Well, anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.